How's everyone going? Welcome back to another Commemorate 998 Railways review video. We are back on the table again. This is due 2020. Video is probably out in 2021 though, looking at the current status of my scheduling. I've noticed the video has gone out of focus again, so that's brilliant. Gonna try out a slightly different microphone setup this time to hopefully stop having to make a tougher edit, because at the moment the microphone which has been used on the last 3 reviews, the microphone has been kind of bubbly, so but the bigger problem we have is now the focus doesn't work on the camera, so it's always brilliant, eh? So anyhow, we have if you've already seen the title, you know what it is, but we're going to first have to get it out of this packaging. I'll do that off camera though, but see you all after it's out and the intro. Alright, so that's the outer box now taken out. So as we can see from the front title number, it's the R3821. Anyone who's seen the title again would already know that. We can see it's obviously a Hornby product, so I'm going to try to get it out of this in some way. It's quite a nice box, so very, very nice. Hornby's put a lot of effort in these models. So we have the Evening Star model. So this is their, wasn't meant to do that. This is Evening Star. They're for the Centenary range. So it's basically their railroad Evening Star model, but it's been, well, from what it looks like from the images, it looks like they've added extra paint and stuff to it, and you get a few extra other stuff. So yeah, so let's get started unpacking it, shall we? So firstly, we have a very nice outer skin of the box. Tri-ang Hornby, basically the same style as the older Tri-ang Hornby box, where I think if I'm correct, it's 1970s deco style. So I'll take the front cover off. Same sort of outside, nice looking red case as the Terrier, which we saw in the last Hornby video. Let's open her up. I'll get a better show of that, but that's just a brief history of the model. You can pause the video now to have a read. So we've got number 985 of 1000. So this time, unlike the other stuff, this is actually one of the later models. So great. Put that away. It's a slightly different colour as well, which is different. We get our normal instructions. I will show a better of what that looks like on the screen. So you get your nice foam insert again. There we go. And so that's what we get in the box. It's our so first, let's get the little stuff out. You get this little stand for the plaque. A few extra little details. It's a Evening Star plate and some brake ring. So to replace, assumingly because the stuff that's on it isn't actually proper, whatever they call it. Let's get the plate out first. Actually, no, let's get the locomotive out first, because the plate looks like it's going to be a hell to get out for some reason. I say that, but the locomotive is probably going to be as hard. These plastic casings, I've noticed that they've always been quite tight, so yeah, as I can say, it's quite tight. Let's get this out. Put that to the side. We'll take a look at it in a moment. Well, unpack it in a moment anyways. And let's drop this out. Oh, wow. That's our nice little builder's plate of the locomotive. Last steam locomotive built in the, for the railways. So yeah, it's a nice little collector's piece. A little bit different. So a little bit heavy as well, so you can move the box away. Let's get the model out anyway. So it's in Hornby's newer style packaging. I've now had to, this is my second model in this newer style packaging. So yeah. Alrighty. And it's using the newer style electrical hookup as well. So we'll lose the packaging. I'll get the thing out of the cab, and then we'll get some nice close-ups of her. Alrighty then, here we go. Wow, so we've got a nice close-up. So let's start with our first impressions of the model as usual. She looks nice. I'm actually kind of surprised by it in some ways. I didn't expect it to have any M couplers. I expected it just to be pretty much the railroad model with a few extra painted details, but it's actually got NEM couplers fitted, and even still has sprung loaded buffers. Because from the photos it didn't look like it was going to have those anymore, but it's good to see that they still kept up to the details of it. So yeah, so it's pretty somewhat basic of a model. A lot of the stuff is molded, but she looks nice. Hopefully she will also run nice, because the model already has quite a decent history in the range. So yeah, but I guess we'll go into a little bit of history on it. As I say, this is going to be a basic history, but if you want any more in-depth history, that will be all in the description below. Anyhow, just a little thing that I've just realised. The locomotive is, for one, if the camera will stay in focus. Alright, back again. Probably took like a second for you guys, but definitely didn't take a second for me. But anyhow, yeah, I've realised that the coupler is actually semi-permanent. So it's nothing like the standard Hornby stuff, which is usually on the models. It's actually screwed in, so the screw actually goes up into so you actually have to unscrew the coupler to get it off. So that's a little bit different to how I thought it would be, but I guess being a collector's model, it's also not really something which is really mattered. So yeah, looks really nice. Let's get into her history. The history of both its class and itself, just a little brief history, and then let's go and have a nice close-up to her as the focus goes again. Alrighty then. So the 9F classes were built between 1954 and 1960. They were the last class of steam locomotives to be built in Britain. They were actually the final of the standard classes to even be built in Britain. Originally intended as a stopgap measure between the transformation to electric traction. However, this obviously didn't turn out, as they chose to churn out diesel locomotives. 251 of them were constructed, with 198 of them built in Crewe Works and 53 of them built in Swindon Works. They are 20.17 metres long from coupler to coupler. Locomotive Evening Star number 92220 was the last of all the steam locomotives to be built by BR, and was also number 999 of the standard class locomotives. The 9Fs were predominantly built for freight traffic, and they were also one of the most powerful locomotives in the steam fleet. 9 of the class made it to preservation, with 8 of them being Swindon built locomotives and 1 of them being a Crewe built locomotive. Evening Star was built as a Western Region locomotive, which is why she's painted in the BR Western Region livery, as they seem to have called it. She was also named by people of the Western Region to Evening Star. Even though 92220 was actually not the last number, it was still the last to be built and put into service as a reserve number. Today, they're all in various states. Only 2 of them have been able to run on the main line, but they have since been prohibited from mainline operation due to their centre driving wheel being flat, with the cautionary aspect of the possibility of derailment. Anyhow, I think that's enough of this little brief history and a little bit on its class. I think it's time we go and take a little closer look into the model. Alrighty, here we go. So we're starting off at the front of the model. Of course, we have our nicely rendered locomotive number on the front, and a shed code, which unfortunately, because the camera has chosen to focus on the outside, I can't actually read it. It is set at 82F. I'm not 100% sure what depot that is. If you guys know, just pop that into the description below, into the comments below, or else you'll probably be in the description after I find out after this video. So as said earlier, the engine is fitted with sprung loader buffers, which is very, very nice of them to still put sprung loader buffers. Kind of missed sprung loader buffers because a lot of the Australian stuff doesn't have it. There is also a spot to put the NEM couple onto the front, so it doesn't actually. So it was in the little pack of details. So yeah, it doesn't have a NEM coupler fitted by default. Going to the side, we can see it's massive 210-0 wheel arrangement. So the compared to the older models, I remember seeing videos of the Evening Star model. I think they use like a little piece of metal as the spring for the front. Maybe? No, I'm not sure. That maybe got mixed up by another model, but there is a little spring on the front bogie so that it can obviously stay with pressure onto the tracks. Most of the details are molded. I'm not surprised about that, being a basically somewhat of a railroad model with amped up features. So most of the stuff is all molded, but you've got handrails all pre-fitted. You've also got your safety valves. That's what they call it, as little additional features. So you got a very, very big, nice linkage for a 10-wheeler. Over to the cab, there isn't any. The detail is just molded. Nothing's painted, as usual. Not that you'll really see it, anyways, because the the height difference between the locomotive and the tender already makes it difficult to see into it. So it's not like you'll really notice, but there is no. There is the details there, just unpainted, molded details. Rivets all over the tender, as per usual. Onto the back of the tender, you've got your ladder, you've got your amount of water capacity, and again your couplers and your standard stuff. So it looks all very, very nice. You've also got your the coal on top is permanent. I don't think you can remove it. Doesn't look like you can remove it anyways. If I'm not mistaken, this one actually the thing goes into the tender, not the thing, the decoder. I would assume the decoder goes into the tender. I'm not sure if it's a 21 pin decoder or not, because it doesn't say anything about it on the actual outside of the box. Well, at least it didn't. Yeah, no, it is DCC ready, but doesn't specify if it's a 21 pin or a. It will probably be in the instruction manual if it's a 21 pin or not. So. No, it's still an 8-pin. Still an 8-pin, but it's just in the tender. Don't have many 8 pins. Most of the stuff down here is all 21. Yeah, we've got our painted pipes down the side of the engine. Steam valves, water valves. What do they call it? Oh, whatever. Water drops out of them, from what I remember. That's on an Australian locomotive, anyways. So yeah, you've got your. As I say, you can. Something which is cool, you've even got the feature on this, is you can look through the bottom of the foot plate, not the foot plate, the chassis, and you can see straight through it. The Evening Star badge is all printed very, very nicely. As I say, in the pack there is a etched version, or at least additional version you can put on top of it if you want to. May or may not do that, if I can be bothered. So yeah, and back up to the front of the model. The painting and lining is very, very nice. There's definitely got the paint job of as a premium model, despite being a kind of more basic model shell. So yeah, it's a nice model to have in the collection. Not really sure what I'm going to do with it, but any collector's model is a brilliant thing to add to the collection. So let's get it to the layout. Let's see how she operates, because that's what everyone is waiting for. Alrighty, here we are. We are at the layout finally. That took a little bit longer than it needed to, because I had to get a few B-roll shots before sending it over. So yeah, we've got Evening Star now sitting on the. Might not even sitting on the track. So let's get her railed. Not sure how I'm going to rail. Seeing that this is a corner, it's going to be even harder. This is a second radius curve, so should be able to handle it. I hope. She's moving from the room for some reason. My nose has started running a bit, so. Here we go. Yeah, there we are. All tin wheels now put on her with a flat wheel in the centre, so should be able to make it move backwards and forwards in the screen first. It's dead. Oh. I thought Australian diesels running on the layout looks big. This is what I call really big. So yeah, I think it's I need to go and get my timer, and then I'll start off the timer. Let's get her moving, and let's get a few running shots of her. So 30 minutes in one way and 30 minutes in the other. Then we're going to stick on to a passenger train because I don't have any freight stock, as we saw when I struggle with the other locomotives. Because seeing that this engine has done passenger stock, it should be more adequate for it to operate on passenger, especially if it's a larger train. So let's get her moving. Alrighty, here we go. Finally finished this running in. I'm using a silent timer now, so for this one anyways, because my normal time is dead, and we can hear the bugs on the outside already. Anyhow, so yeah, that's after its 1 hour running. A little bit warm. It's a decently warm day down here in Victoria today, so, and the light's also gone, so that's how long an hour took, and that's why I shouldn't shoot this in the evening. So anyhow, I think we're going to go and couple up to carriages. I will have to go and quickly modify the what's being pulled, because the couplers are wrong. Half the couplers aren't actually going to be usable on this train because I'm still using these tension locks. So I'm going to fix that up, and then we'll get her locking up. The carriage is just sitting on the second loop, so and then we'll drag her out. Alrighty, here we go. So I brought up the carriage which I usually use part of the Christmas train. That's why they still have all their markings and stuff on it, because I haven't been bothered to take them off again. Chances are I'll probably end up using them for this year's one anyways, most likely. Might modify it a bit, but yeah, so they can't still have all the messages and stuff on it. But in any case, she's handled the little load quite well. So I guess all it is now is just to see her performance, and with this 2, 4, 6, 7 carriage train. I'm pretty sure she could do a lot more. It's just not taking it here didn't break a sweat. So yeah, she's actually very, very powerful. I would like to do a haulage test on her at some point, but in any case, let's get some running shots of her. So let's firstly move the camera out of the way, and I'm going to make sure the points are set correctly because I haven't reset those yet, even though it's probably heavy enough to go and push the points over anyways. But let's get her, let's see her off. I should also note that that buzzing noise is still the controller, so I really need to sort that controller issue at some point. But let's go and see her on our trip. Well then, so there we are. We've now seen the performance of her pulling a train of, well, 9 carriages now, after a slight fault with the last carriage, so I had to replace it, but I ended up replacing the 2 for no reason at all. But yeah, I honestly kind of regret not purchasing one of these when I was originally into the British model trains. I'd actually, the Evening Star had been on my wish list for quite a long time, but with the changes of modelling, it was one that was knocked off, obviously, so it's performing immensely well. There's a few issues in reverse though. There's a noise coming from it. I have to find out what that is exactly, but in terms of performance, she's moving very, very smoothly. Yeah, so there's really nothing I can really complain about her performance wise. And she's handling the curves brilliantly. Nothing like the Australian models, which have a tendency to derail on these tighter corners. So yeah, honestly, a very, very nice model to add to the collection. Only issue is, how much does it differ to the actual railway models? So that's more of the main question now. Honestly, I feel like they probably don't differ that much though. This just gets you a few extra things. Hopefully the railway model actually gets NEM couplers now, seeing that it's obviously possible that NEM couplers can be fitted to it, so, or even a brand new super detailed version. But anyhow, I think I'll end off the video here. I hope you guys have enjoyed joining me for another model railway review video, and hopefully you'll stay here for some more of them. There should be a few more British stuff and then quite a lot of Australian stuff coming out over the next few timetable slots. So yeah, thank you all for watching. The results, in tabulated form, will be coming out just after she departs off the screen. So hopefully see you all next time.